This
internship.
conference will now be recorded.
So starting preparation is very important. It's not like a sudden process. You have to apply to a lot of places and you have to see a lot of rejections as well. So the best thing is to start early. By early, what I mean is that second year ending or like second year mid, like at least you should start your research where you want to go and where you want to apply, depending upon your branch. Ideal time to start research, I have written here third year undergrad, but I'll say second year last or beginning, second year last or middle is good enough time. Um, the thing about second year is that it's quite difficult to secure a foreign internship or like I know I don't know like even foreign virtual internships. Being a second year student, because there's a lot of competition and everyone's applying, so second year is like considered not that much of an experience level. So what I suggest during the second year is that you should try to do an internship uh, at the IITs, or there is the Indian Academy of Sciences internship, which some of my friends obtained when they were in second year. So this is a good internship because it helps you gain experience in the IITs, and there are a lot of institutes that offer actually, and even not all of the internships are listed. Sometimes you have to mail professors and sometimes you have to ask your friends or about the internships that are locally provided. For example, in ISER, if you are inclined to sciences, or ISRO if you are uh, inclined to the astronomical sciences, or IITs if you are like more into the technical side of things. There is like opportunity for everything. So you just have to do your research and ask people around. And I'll like as time progresses, I'll share some resources with you as well. Also, one thing, if someone wants to interrupt me and ask any question in the middle, they're welcome, and you can just pop your questions in the chat box, and I will take them from time to time. And please let me know as well if I'm too fast. I'll slow down. So what I was telling was second year, how it is important. The main point is try to secure an internship at a good Indian institute so that you can add to your CV and start your preparations. But third year would be the ideal process for foreign internships, because I'll tell you, I gained one at Nanyang Technological University, Singapore, when I was in my third year, and I did the research internship in the summer. So I'll come to that. And one thing is that if you are from computer science background specifically, I'll say that this is a time-consuming process for an internships and foreign studies. So make sure that this does not hamper your everyday doings. Like it should not hamper your coding, or like if you're preparing for GATE, etc. It should not hamper your everyday things. So make sure you do this foreign research side by side with your normal activities. I'll tell you about a particular internship which is called the NTU India Connect. So NTU India Connect was the internship I secured in Singapore. So NTU is Nanyang Technological University, and they provide internships in all departments, starting from computer science, electrical, metallurgy, mechanical, everyone. And they choose Indian students from various universities. So NIT uh, IITs, and all other engineering colleges, they choose it. And the best thing about this internship is that it's the scholarship is provided and it's fully funded, so you don't have to pay anything. But you have to apply early for that. And like I'll suggest, if you apply for the uh, sorry, I think someone is unmuted. Okay, yeah. So you have to apply early for that, and third year middle is a good time. So okay, fine. So there are two universities in Singapore that are in the top 20 or top 30 in the world generally, and NTU, which provides the scholarship, and there is another one, NUS. NUS is actually slightly better than NTU, which is the National University of Singapore. But for NUS, the process is slightly harder, and you have to mail professors. So just mail everyone, just find someone in LinkedIn or like read the research papers of professors. Okay, someone said that my voice is not clear. Dhanvi sir, could you just specify if my voice is okay or not? Okay, sure. Okay, so I was talking about Singapore. I'll come back to this one. I was talking about Singapore. So NUS is the best university in Singapore, and for NUS, you have to mail professors generally to secure internships. The process is quite cumbersome, but it's not that difficult as well. You have to mail a lot of people. That's a point I would say. Now coming to particular internships, in India, there is a company called Internshala, which was founded by students some years ago, and they generally provide a lot of internships for which you get paid. Uh, Not a lot of money, but like you get paid okay as compared to Indian standards. But the experience is quite good. So, for example, I would say Internshala, several companies would advertise themselves on Internshala, and they would provide, suppose, app development internships. For example, you can develop an app for like 3 months for a 3-month internship, or like some provide 6 months internship as well. If someone is interested in web designing, they can go for that as well. Or example, or otherwise coding internships as well. So there are a lot of spheres for that. um, that is Internshala, which is good, like which is a good work from home type internship, and which is a good experience always. So if you are interested, keep a note of that. The presentation will be shared as well, I guess. So that's fine. And the next thing is Google Summer of Code. I have put like 3 asterisks after that because it's quite an important internship. Actually, not many people know about it. So Google Summer of Code is done by Google every year, and you get paid a lot of money if that's an incentive. And I don't like need to specifically say how prestigious it is because it's done by Google. Okay, so foreign students and a lot of my friends have done that, but the culture is not that much prevalent in like Indian engineering colleges. So I would say do your research on Google Summer of Code. You can apply from home. Generally, you would need to have a GitHub account and like start coding and put your work on that. Try to see which companies advertise themselves on Google Summer of Code. For example, like if some biological company wants to develop like some genetic coding, and you are interested into like computational biology, you can just join the company's chats or like speak with the company employees, or like there are a lot of spheres which are covered by Google Summer of Code. So take a look at GSOC, which is very prestigious, and if you can get it, it's quite brilliant. And believe me, a lot of people get it, and those who don't, most of them don't even apply because they don't know. So now, because you know, you should look into it. Now, next is Mitacs Canada. So Mitacs Canada is another internship which is in Canadian colleges. So this one is like quite selective as well, but they select a lot of Indian students. Um, the best Canadian colleges like the University of Toronto and British Columbia, everyone accepts Mitacs scholars. So try Mitacs as well. I will tell you specifically which how the process is and like the documents you require at a later point of time. Now the next is DAAD Germany. So DAAD Germany is as as the name suggests,
Sir,
it's
your voice is lagging, sir.
I'm sorry for that. I think it's because of my internet connection. Uh, but if you want me to repeat anything, just put it in the chat and I'll repeat again and again. So don't worry about that. So I was talking about DAD, okay? So DAD Germany is the scholarship for Germany, and it's fully funded and it's every year. So this supports PhD students and master students as well, and even bachelor students can go for internship. So when you are a bachelor, if your college supports, you can do generally 6-month internships at a foreign college and then come back. And if your college doesn't support, you can do the internship during the summer, 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months. So it depends upon the logistics of your college, whether you want to do a 2 to 3 month internship or 6-month internship. If you obtain a 6-month internship and if your college allows you, I would suggest to do that, because when you go to a foreign college, the experience is quite brilliant, and you get to meet a lot of new people. Okay, so you grew up in a particular kind of coding culture and particular kind of teaching experience, but when you go to a foreign place, I'm not saying that it's better always, or like it's you have to go there kind of that, but the thing is that you'll get to learn a lot of things, how things are done, and you'll get to meet a lot of people who are just doing research in a lot of new areas. You'll get to know a lot of new things. So that's one advantage of going foreign. My advantage in Singapore was that I made a lot of new friends who taught me a lot about, like, say, Python coding or machine learning, which I didn't know that much before going there. I was more of like image processing and signal processing kind of person, but I learned a lot, like a lot of areas like machine learning and programming in Python from my friends, which I made in Singapore. So there is always something which you can improve on, and there are a lot of chances when you go to new places. So the next point is www.modachashma.com. So it's an Indian website which puts together scholarships for everyone, basically for starting from school children to undergraduates to PhDs. So this is one website I would suggest to you to look at, like almost every week. If you look at once a week at websites or like resources, that's quite fine actually. Now the next one, eduinfo.asia, you can find the group on Facebook as well, and they have a website as well. So this one is quite a good website, because if you go there, you can see the scholarships that are posted almost every year. There is the NTU India scholarship and the MITA scholarship as well. So almost every scholarship that you need, you will find in eduinfo.asia, and it's quite a brilliant resource. So I would suggest you to just go there and just have a look. And like, if you have any questions, you can ask sir, or like you can just mail me and I can reply about that, or I can help you with that. And Quora as well, I hope like you are aware of that. So Quora is quite a good resource, but be careful, like, because anyone can answer in Quora. So try to see those answers which have high upvotes or like high comment ratios, and you can find a lot of good tips and resources there. Okay, so now come to some tips and tricks. One of the most important thing is to have a good LinkedIn profile. I hope like all of you have an updated profile. If you don't have, it's fine. Just start updating it, because LinkedIn is not only important for LinkedIn is important for everything. Like you can get a job offer on LinkedIn if someone likes your profile very much, or just a lot of views. And LinkedIn is a good resource because everyone uses it, like these scholarly people. So it's very important to have a good face and a good portfolio on LinkedIn, because everyone visits it from time to time. So I suggest that work strongly on it. The starting from the image, the LinkedIn cover image is important, and then the bio, and put your achievements on LinkedIn, as well as your courses that you have done, and keep your LinkedIn profile up to date and keep checking it every day. I would say. Starting from now would be a good time. Then I'll come to papers. This is a very important area. Like not a lot of people have papers by the end of the undergrad, but it's something that's very good to have. You don't need to have it, but it's good to have it. So one way of having a research paper is trying to work with your professor when you are in second or third year. Just go to them and ask them about their research and tell them how you can contribute. Contribution can be in a lot of ways. For example, if you are good in writing, that can be one sort of contribution. If you are good in coding, that can be one sort of contribution. But generally, you have to be good in both coding and writing, and uh, you have to be persistent in that, because publishing a paper kind of takes a long time as well sometimes. So you have to have time as well in your hand. So start when you are in third year, I would say, and try to be involved in the research groups in your community. You can even email someone online if you find their research useful, and collaboration is like the best thing in the research world. Like very often you won't see that very often you won't see that a single person has authored a paper. Like you say like 2 to 3% at least, they are collaborating and they are sharing their research and just writing papers. So if you go to your professor and ask for research tips, or like how you can, and say how you can contribute, I'm sure like they will help you out. So that's a way to start, how to write a paper, or like how to have a paper published by the end of your undergrad. Researchgate is a good place to see, and uh, because a lot of people like you would be publishing their research on ResearchGate, and you can have an idea. So you can go by topics on ResearchGate and see the papers. I would suggest like read a few papers first, how the structure is done. So a scientific paper is quite different. I'm sure like you would have some seminar on how to write papers as well. So I'll not go into much deeper thoughts regarding this, but like the scientific paper is quite different than a blog you read, or like the articles in your books. So there is a particular structure, and you will have to have result oriented papers, and there are survey papers as well. So there are different types of papers, but make sure you know quite a lot by the time you finish your degree. By the time you finish your degree, so there are different types of papers which you can publish, like conference papers, journal papers. So the first paper which I did was in a conference which was supported by Springer. So I worked with my professor at NIT, and we did our work in cryptography. So my contribution was that I did the coding part and did the writing part as well. So find your area which you are comfortable in. I would suggest one particular thing as well. I don't know which coding languages you are using. In general, I would suggest, like I would say, like everyone is using C, C++, or Java, but like if you have not used Python, I would suggest that you learn Python as soon as possible. It's quite easy actually, but the thing is that everyone uses Python nowadays. Yeah, everyone uses Python nowadays. Okay, so I would suggest Python. So apart from ResearchGate, there are also IEEE conferences and Springer conferences. You can always go to their websites and see uh, the scheduled dates when the conferences are happening. If some conference is supposed held in NIT Rourkela, or suppose in NIT Jamshedpur as well, you can collaborate with your friends there, or like the professors there, and publish. So it's a painful process to start, but once you start and like once you have connections, uh, you can go ahead quite well. So what's good is papers. Papers can add some value to your application because you will be competing against quite a lot of good people. Okay, when you are going foreign, that's that's one issue. So if you have like publications in your profile, that adds value. But in general, you are not expected to have publications when you have just finished your bachelor's. So try to be involved in research because that will help you immensely. And the second thing is recommendation letter. So this is one of the most important topics. Recommendation letter, what is it? So someone who have worked with you, or if you have worked under some professor, he will recommend you. So every application you need, be it job application or be it internship application or be it master's application or PhD, you generally need recommendation letters, and you generally need two of them. So try to have some rapport with your professors and make sure that whenever you need them, they are available, because sometimes the deadlines are quite close and you will be panicking for recommendation letters. So just make sure that you know, if you know someone personally and they are ready to recommend you, just keep in contact always, because you don't know when you would need it. Recommendation letter is very important because like it represents a part of you. So what the person thinks about you, like the professor whom you have worked under. So it's a very strong point to have a good recommendation letter, and try to have at least 4 recommenders that you know, because sometimes like if someone is not available, you can get the recommendation letter from someone else. For my case, when I was in my undergrad, I used to take the recommendation letter from my professors and from my HOD. So I knew them quite well and they used to recommend me. So just make sure that you know someone and just be always in contact with them, because recommendation letter, without it you cannot even submit the application. So yeah, make sure that you have your recommenders ready. And that's next thing, which is the most important one, is the SOP, which is also called the statement of purpose. So the statement of purpose is a way in which you declare yourself, why you are important for the position, or like why the university should have you. So it goes like this. Basically, you have to define your background, and you have to be uh, connecting the dots why you chose from going from your bachelor's to a master's or an internship. So you have to express yourself. So it's called the statement of purpose, because your purpose is to join a new place, your purpose is to join a new university. So you have to define yourself. There are a lot of examples of SOPs online. I have shared one resource, like I will share one resource later, which will give you some examples as well. Um, so be tuned for that. But work a lot on your SOP. Make sure that you write your SOP as soon as possible and give it to your friends to read, also to your professors, and take their feedback seriously. Don't just write one SOP for every application. Try to change your SOP, because like every university is different and every application is different. So that's one bad thing that I did as well. Like I forwarded a lot of applications by just copying and pasting and changing the university name. So I would suggest you do that, because that's a lot of work, but that's important that you write a new SOP for every new application that you do, and try to change it as well. Now I'll come to the exams that you generally need for foreign travel. So GRE is called the Graduate Record Examination, and TOEFL is like Test of English as a Foreign Language. So since India is not like technically a fully English speaking country, so for Indians we generally have to take this test. GRE and TOEFL. they are quite different. GRE is generally for USA. If you go to USA for PhD, masters, or even internship, you generally have to give a GRE. But if you go to European countries, you can skip the GRE. And TOEFL is important. Like TOEFL is must for European countries. So the bottom line is that if you go to USA, you have to give GRE. If you go to Europe, you have to give TOEFL or IELTS, which is another exam. So GRE has two components. One is verbal reasoning, or which is the English test, and one is the mathematical test. So the mathematical test is quite easy. Like even like kids of standard 7th and 8th can do them easily. So it's not quite difficult for like Indians because the maths is so easy there. But the main thing is the verbal reasoning test. Okay, the verbal reasoning test is a bit hard because it kind of comes with a different word list that we generally don't use. So the preparation tips would be to see the GRE word list. You can download them easily, like Barron's word list or Manhattan word list, and try to go through them. I'll talk about that in detail later as well. So GRE is out of 340, 170 for maths and 170 for English. Try to score full 170 in maths, and in English, if you score more than 150, then your score will be more than 320. So the ideal score is 325 out of 340. I guess like you will be safe for a lot of universities, and it's not that difficult. Like people generally get it, so don't get scared for so much high cutoff. And GRE is generally easy. It's quite doable. And so I forgot to tell you that there is one third section of GRE, which is writing section. So writing section has like essays and tasks, which are quite common, and like you can like GRE essays, they have a syllabus as well. In the official website, you can find like 50 essays, and like the essays that are asked are generally from those 50. And I'll come to TOEFL now. TOEFL is test of English as a foreign language. So TOEFL is much easier than GRE, and if you have like basic English mastery, then TOEFL is a cakewalk. So there is a channel on YouTube called Noteful, which provides TOEFL videos. When I prepared, I used the Noteful videos, and that was good enough for me. I got like 109 out of 120. So people generally get 120 out of 120 as well. So TOEFL is much easier as compared to GRE. But make sure that you prepare. It's not like that if you're good in English, just go to that. But just make sure that you know the type of questions that are asked and the environment of the exam as well. But like nowadays, if you take GRE or TOEFL, I think like you can give it from home as well. And like the system has changed a bit because of the pandemic. So make sure that you know the logistics as well. So TOEFL is very easy, as I said, and the other counterpart is IELTS. I've not written it here, but that's same as TOEFL. So IELTS is quite easy as well. It's completely English exam. There is no maths. For GRE, the recommended book is in the official website, which is called the Manhattan Prep, or sorry, which is called the Manhattan Prep. So you can take a look at that. And there is a Drive link below, which has different mock tests and free materials for GRE and TOEFL. So you can use that link and like download all the materials. It has like a lot of materials, and you can use those. One more thing is that might be a question that if you need coaching for those exams like GRE and TOEFL. So I'll say that the coaching is a bit costly, but if you can afford it, you can go for it, because like it will help you in getting good marks. But if you cannot afford it, or like seems it's a bit costly for you, you can just prepare it yourself. In my case, I did preparation myself, and I had a Princeton review book, and I used to revise it every day. So it's not that you cannot do it yourself, but if you can afford and you can have coaching, I say go for it. Otherwise, like it's okay if you do it yourself. A lot of people I know did it themselves and like they got good marks. So coaching is not necessary. Some more tips regarding GRE and TOEFL. I used to do a lot of mock tests. So when I started preparing for GRE, uh, the free link that I gave last slide, those had a few mock tests. So I gave those mock tests and I got a baseline score. So I could judge myself where I stood that time. Suppose you get 310 out of 340 in a mock test at the start. So you know that you have to work hard for 330. If you get 300 in a mock test, you know, like you have to work really, really hard. So mock test will help you judge where you stand and like do a lot of mock tests. That will make you exam ready as well and like how you prepare. The official guide to the GRE. If you are like confused about which book to use and like there are a lot of options. So in that case, the best will be the official guide to the GRE. Just pick up the official guide and just go from it, go through it like straight from the start to the end, and it will be more than good enough actually. Manhattan Prep, they also prepare GRE books and they're very good. All of them are available free actually. You don't even need to buy them. You can download them. The PDF is available online everywhere, and even in the drives there is a lot of resource. Barron's word list, like Barron is a traditional company that produces those word lists for the GRE. They have been doing it from time to time. There are newer editions as well, but you can pick up any edition and just do that. So Barron's word list will come up in different sizes, like say 500 word list, 1000 word list, or 2000 word list. Start from the 500 and then you can just go up to maybe 1000 or 2000. I think that would be more than enough. Also, there are a lot of apps that are available, like the Merriam-Webster app. Merriam-Webster is a very good app for your English preparation, and other vocabulary apps as well. Flashcards, which will help you prepare your vocab. I'm telling so much about vocab because of GRE and TOEFL. So GRE and TOEFL is just only a minor part of your application, but you have to be careful because you are not from a primarily English-speaking country, and their marks matter a bit. So if you get like 320 plus on GRE, that adds a lot of value to your application. And some other resource which is particularly related to research, it would be Google Scholar. You can find any professor of any reputed university in Google Scholar, and you can go through their research, and you can go through their papers. If you have published a paper by this time, you can have your own Google Scholar account as well. That feels really good, to be honest. So when you publish a paper, just open your Google Scholar account, and like it's such a good place to be friendly with researchers and read their paper. And it's free as always. Then there is Euraccess, which is something I learned during the masters. It shows about all European opportunities. If any master's or PhD scholarship or internship is available in European internships universities, you can see your access and keep checking it like every week or two. Like all the resources I have told you about, like the EduInfo or your access, just keep checking them every week or something like that. Don't like check once a month or that because you'll miss a lot of deadlines. And the last is like mailing a lot, like just mail everyone shamelessly. You'll not get replies from everyone, but just mail a lot. Mail your seniors or like find people on LinkedIn and find people on Facebook and mail a lot because you'll grow your network and you'll get to know about a lot of opportunities. And yeah, that's it. So thank you. And if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and I'll try to answer them.
Anyone would like to ask a question? You can unmute yourself. Hello.
Okay, I see some of the questions in the chat. I think yeah, this PPT can be shared. I'll share it with sir, and like sir will share it with all of you. Internship opportunities in India. There is the Indian Academy of Sciences internship. You can do internship at the Indian Institute of Science as well, IISc Bangalore. You have to mail them. So, but Indian Academy of Sciences, I think, allows you to do internship in IISc as well alongside IITs. So that's a quite prestigious internship. Also, you can look at ISI and CMI if you are more into maths and stats. So, and you can go to any IIT basically. For verbal reasoning, some website or book. I think the PPT will be shared, right? So there is the website link. So if, you can see the Google Drive link here, right? So this Google Drive link will have lots of free books. Like everything is free in this drive. You can download them and just use them. But verbal reasoning, you can use Princeton Review books or Barron's Word List or Manhattan Prep. So those are good resources. Okay. If there are any more questions, I'm happy to take them.
Someone has asked about verbal reasoning. Suggest me some website or book.
Yeah, I told him like so. This link in the screen. This has a lot of free resources. Otherwise, use Princeton Review books or Manhattan Prep or Barron's Word List. Merriam-Webster app is good as well. You can find a lot of apps on Google Play which will help you play vocabulary games. I'll suggest you download those and use flashcards. After a time, like you will see that the vocabs are repeating. So up to that point, keep practicing. There are not a lot of words that are new. Actually, you will know a lot like yourself. So otherwise, it's just practice. Should I have to apply universities that I want to get you admitted along with GRE and TOEFL? Generally, you have to. If you have like GRE score by the time you apply, it's good. But you can also like apply to a university and then give your GRE in that time. But I would suggest that give your GRE and have your score by the time you apply, because you will know your score. Like suppose you scored 310 out of 340 in GRE and you are looking to apply. So I'll say that like improve your score in GRE a bit and then apply. That's why it's good to have like GRE and TOEFL scores earlier before applying rather than having them later.
Okay, now I would like to suggest third year students. You can search that. So you can type that in the Google. You get lot of information how you can get internship in Germany. So actually there is a collaboration between India and Germany. So third year student, they can get internship, I think 6 months or 3 or 4 months. Okay, so you can search there. You'll get a lot of information for internship and master degree and PhD also. So that is one of the best, I think, scholarship to get internship in Germany. So many students are doing through that. So one student about college project matters.
Yeah, college project matters actually. Like you can write in your CV, and you have to write about projects in your CV. Okay, so try to do not many projects, I would say, but like if you do a few projects, make sure that they are good and you can like demonstrate your concepts. Like make them as broad as possible, so you can like demonstrate a few concepts rather than like a short project or something. It's better to do a good big project than a lot of small projects. So yeah, college project does matter.
Any question? I think no one is interested to ask question, I think.
Okay.
Okay.
In that case,
I request anyone, you can use a chat box. अच्छा, बहुत लोग सोच रहे हैं कि एक्चुअली हम जा नहीं सकते, पढ़ नहीं सकते, फंडिंग प्रॉब्लम है, सो वो भी एक इशू है। बहुत लोग ये सोचते हैं कि नहीं हम नहीं जा सकते, लेकिन वैसा नहीं है। बहुत सारे ऐसे स्कॉलरशिप है जो आपको फंडिंग गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया फंड करती है, ठीक है। तो वो सोचते नहीं, हम लोग सोचते ही नहीं कि हम लोग, हाँ
मतलब आप
बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट ये सोचते हैं कि
तो मैं ये बोलना चाहता हूँ कि आप अगर ये सोच रहे हो कि अपने पैसे से जाना है या फिर वैसा, तो बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, क्योंकि मेरे लिए भी बहुत डिफिकल्ट था। अगर मुझे फंडिंग नहीं मिलता अपने इंटर्नशिप के वक्त, आई कुडंट हैव गॉन टू सिंगापुर बिकॉज इट्स वेरी कॉस्टली। ठीक है, तो जनरली आपको फंडिंग मिलता है बट इट्स वेरी कॉम्पिटिटिव। ऐसा नहीं है कि मतलब जो भी अप्लाई करते हैं उनको मिल जाता है। सो यू हैव टू अप्लाई अ लॉट, बट फंडिंग अवेलेबल रहता है।
That's why I suggest third year students. So if you try from third year, definitely you will get.
थर्ड ईयर में आप अच्छा इंटर्नशिप करोगे तो आपको मास्टर्स में हेल्प मिलेगा।
So now I request. I think no question more.
Yeah. I hope it was useful for all of you, and I could share what you.
I have shared a feedback form, so all participants please fill the feedback form. Now I request Sneha ma'am, Assistant Professor, Computer Science Department, for vote of thanks. So ma'am, can you join with us? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Am I audible to you?
Okay. Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Vomit, sir. Thank you very much for your wonderful session. As the session was being attended by third and fourth year and some of second year students too, so I can make you sure that so many of our students are going to implement your tricks and tactics to crack GRE as well as TOEFL in near future. I think making a nice statement of purpose can help them a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I wish them best of luck.
And second thing is mail same list, right?
Sorry.
And second thing is mail.
Yeah, mailing a lot. Yeah, mailing a lot of people.
Yes, so I think the students are going to do this and keep in mind. So thank you very much, sir. Great session.
Thank you for giving me the chance.
Yes, mailing is important, and you should know how to write recommendation letters. So this is very important. Recommendation letter. When you are applying to some other university, you have to write to professor. So recommendation letter is very much important. And today I have got a mail from one of the participants. Simply wrote, "Where is my certificate?" So don't write like this to any professor. Take me in internship. So don't write like this. Okay, so you should write your name, from where you are, which college, what is your department. So he simply wrote, "Where is my certificate?" So actually you are not able to. You have not given certificate to them, so that's why he wrote. So definitely we'll give them certificates. So don't worry. It takes 1 or 2 days. So I thank you, ma'am, and I thank all participants for joining with us, and I thank you, Ujjain, once again for your wonderful session. So now we can end our session. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
थैंक यू सर।
फीडबैक प्लीज फीडबैक फॉर्म आप लोग फिल कर लीजिए, क्योंकि वो सर्टिफिकेट जनरेट करने के लिए हम लोग को जरूरत पड़ेगा, नेम एंड योर कॉलेज नेम, ठीक है। डोंट फॉरगेट
सर इसका लिंक दीजिएगा तब ना सर।
लिंक शेयर किए हुए देखो
चैट बॉक्स में सर।
कहाँ शेयर करेंगे? चैट बॉक्स में ना बोल रहे हैं।
हाँ सर, हाँ
चैट बॉक्स में लिखे हुए हैं, चेक करो देखो, वहां पे मिल जाएगा। फिर से हम कर दे रहे हैं। हाँ अभी जस्ट शेयर किया हो, देख लो।